Welcome to Space Nexus. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more breaking updates. The world is watching, its attention fixed on a nation that has long stood at the crossroads of continents and civilizations. In living rooms, cafes, and government offices from Washington to Beijing, all eyes are on Turkey, a country whose decisions now ripple far beyond its borders. Turkey, often described as a bridge between Europe and Asia, is facing a moment of profound transformation. Its unique geography has always made it a meeting point of cultures, ideas, and ambitions. But today, it stands at a monumental crossroads, where the choices it makes could reshape the balance of power for years to come. As a long-standing NATO member and a candidate for the European Union, Turkey has traditionally aligned itself with the West. Yet now, its public pivot toward the BRICS economic bloc, a group that includes rising powers like China, Russia, and India, has sent shockwaves through global capitals. This move signals not just a shift in economic strategy, but a potential realignment of Turkey's entire foreign policy. This isn't just about foreign policy or trade agreements. It's a sign of a fractured world where old alliances are being questioned and new power centers are emerging. The global order that has existed since the end of the Cold War is being tested, and Turkey's actions are at the heart of this transformation. With its control of the Bosphorus Strait, a vital artery for global trade, its formidable military and its deep cultural influence, Turkey's choices carry weight far beyond its own borders. Every move is watched closely, as it could tip the scales in ongoing geopolitical rivalries and reshape regional dynamics. The decision to consider BRICS membership is more than a diplomatic gesture. It challenges the post-Cold War order, raising urgent questions about the future of NATO, the cohesion of Western alliances, and the very meaning of global partnership in a rapidly changing world. As Ankara's bold BRICS gambit collides with the realities of global politics, uncertainty hangs in the air. The world holds its breath, waiting to see which path Turkey will choose, and how that choice will echo across continents. To truly understand Turkey's dramatic pivot away from Europe, we need to look back at a story that spans more than half a century, a story filled with hope, setbacks, and shifting identities. Turkey's relationship with the European Union has been long, complicated, and often frustrating. For decades, Turkish leaders and citizens alike dreamed of joining the European family, believing it would bring prosperity, stability, and global respect. The journey began in 1959, when Turkey first applied for associate membership. This move sparked a wave of reforms, as Turkey modernized its economy, legal system, and infrastructure to align with European standards. Over the years, cities transformed, and the country's ambitions grew. Optimism reached its peak in 2005, when formal accession talks finally began. There was a sense of celebration and anticipation, as many believed Turkey was on the verge of a historic breakthrough. But this optimism would not last. Negotiations soon stalled, bogged down by the unresolved Cyprus issue, persistent concerns over human rights, and deep-rooted cultural differences. These obstacles led to growing frustration and resentment in Ankara, as hopes for membership faded. When the EU floated the idea of a so-called privileged partnership instead of full membership, many Turks saw it as a humiliating rejection. The proposal deepened the rift, fueling a sense of betrayal and disappointment. The failed coup attempt in 2016 brought even more scrutiny. European leaders criticized Turkey's response and raised alarms about the state of democracy and rule of law, effectively bringing accession talks to a halt. By the early 2020s, public opinion in Turkey had shifted dramatically. Most Turks no longer believed EU membership was possible, and the dream that once inspired generations now seemed firmly out of reach. As Turkey's Western hopes faded, BRICS emerged as a new force. Originally an investment term for Brazil, Russia, India, and China, BRICS became a political bloc in 2009, joined by South Africa in 2010. The group challenges Western-dominated institutions, creating alternatives like the New Development Bank. BRICS expansion in 2024-2025 added Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, UAE, and Indonesia, making it a formidable coalition. Now representing 45% of the world's population and over a third of the global economy, BRICS appeals to countries seeking a greater voice. For Turkey, BRICS offers both economic opportunity and strategic leverage. In early 2025, Turkey's Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan announced a formal bid to join BRICS during a visit to China. He cited EU stagnation and cultural barriers, presenting BRICS as a dynamic alternative. The move was a clear message to the West. Turkey had other options. Nationalists celebrated the bid as a bold step toward sovereignty, while opposition groups warned of democratic backsliding and isolation. By making the announcement in Beijing, Turkey signaled a realignment toward a multipolar world. The world took notice, and so did BRICS. When Ankara formally expressed its interest in joining BRICS, Turkish officials anticipated a positive reception, hoping that their country's growing influence would be recognized by the bloc. The Turkish government saw BRICS as a potential platform to diversify its alliances and reduce its reliance on Western institutions. However, the reality of the situation soon proved to be far more complicated and politically charged than Ankara had expected. India quickly emerged as the leading voice of opposition. Indian officials pointed to Turkey's vocal support for Pakistan on the contentious Kashmir issue, a stance that has long strained relations between Ankara and New Delhi. Additionally, there were deep concerns about the prospect of admitting a NATO member into a group that often positions itself as a counterweight to Western alliances. Indian diplomats argued that Turkey's NATO ties could risk importing the alliance's rivalries and conflicts into BRICS, potentially undermining the bloc's unity. This apprehension was quietly echoed by China, which, while less vocal, shared India's unease about the possible complications Turkey's membership could bring. Russia, for its part, maintained a polite but cautious stance. While Moscow did not openly oppose Turkey's bid, it stopped short of offering full support. Instead, Russia suggested that Turkey could be granted partner country status, a move that mirrored the European Union's earlier offer of a second-tier relationship. Ankara interpreted this as yet another diplomatic snub. Frustrated by the lack of genuine enthusiasm and the reluctance of key BRICS members, President Erdogan made a pointed statement by skipping the 2024 BRICS summit altogether, signaling his disappointment to the international community. Ultimately, the internal politics and strategic calculations of the BRICS nations outweighed Turkey's ambitions. The bloc's members prioritized their own interests and cohesion over expanding the group to include a country with such complex ties to the West. The response from BRICS was not just reserved, it was almost total silence. The lack of public support, or even meaningful debate about Turkey's application, spoke volumes about the bloc's hesitations. In the end, Turkey's hopes for full BRICS membership faded rapidly, leaving Ankara to reconsider its diplomatic strategy and future alliances. Any lingering hope for Turkey's BRICS bid ended with a crisis in Kashmir in spring 2025. After a deadly attack, India accused Turkey of supplying drones to Pakistan, escalating tensions. India retaliated by cancelling major Turkish business deals and urging a boycott of Turkish tourism. Prime Minister Modi's visit to Cyprus sent a pointed diplomatic message. The fallout was swift and severe, closing the door on Turkey's BRICS ambitions. Ankara was left isolated, its eastward pivot in tatters. As Turkey faced BRICS rejection, another challenge emerged: Donald Trump's return to the White House. Trump's administration threatened harsh tariffs on any country aligning with BRICS, especially if a new currency emerged. For Turkey, already economically fragile, The risk of US retaliation was too great to ignore. Erdogan's desire to maintain ties with Washington clashed with his BRICS overtures. The threat of economic warfare forced Ankara to reconsider its pivot. The Trump factor became a powerful deterrent. Turkey's silence after the BRICS snub spoke volumes. Experts see Turkey's BRICS gambit as a classic case of a middle power caught in a polarized world. Analyst Dr. Asli Aydın-Taşbaş argues Turkey's move was a gamble for relevance, not a true break from the West. The quest for strategic autonomy risks alienating both East and West. Turkey wants NATO's security and BRICS's economic promise, but the world demands choices. Western investors grew wary, and BRICS couldn't replace deep EU economic ties. Severing those ties would be a massive economic risk. For now, Turkey's gamble has backfired. Turkey's failed BRICS bid leaves it at a crossroads, its alliances frayed, and its future uncertain. The episode highlights the limits of strategic autonomy in a world of great power rivalry. BRICS's confidence and India's resistance show how hard it is to straddle competing blocs. Pressures from Washington and New Delhi exposed the risks of Turkey's eastward pivot. Will Ankara seek to repair Western ties or double down on independence? The choices ahead will shape Turkey's economy, security, and identity. As global power shifts, Turkey's next moves will echo far beyond its borders.